Hey guys, how are we all? This is my review of Arsenal's, I guess you could say, disappointing draw at the Emirates Stadium this evening against Paris Saint-Germain. A real opportunity tonight to not just get top spot in the group, but to also lay down a marker in Europe, to ring round a message that we are going to be taken seriously in the Champions League this season. And although on paper 2-2 at home to Paris Saint-Germain, it's not the end of the world, but I mean, we had a great opportunity at 2-1 up to see this game out and to get 3 points and go into that game against Basel in a couple of weeks' time with no pressure on our shoulders whatsoever. But of course, the group is still very open in terms of getting top spot. I say very open, but in reality, you would expect PSG to beat Ludogorets at home. And if they do that, they've secured top spots regardless of our result away in Basel. So it's frustrating in that sense. And especially it's even more frustrating when you consider that we've actually got a better goal difference than Paris Saint-Germain. But sadly, this isn't the way the Champions League works. It's not going to be in our favour. But we knew that going into tonight's game. We had a great opportunity to get the win, as I say, and being 2-1 up, to lose it in the way that we did in that final 15 minutes is beyond frustrating in so many ways. But this performance tonight was so telling of Arsenal's most recent performances. The game against Spurs, the game against United, both unconvincing, and for large spells of tonight's match, very much the same. We didn't look particularly good. We were lethargic, lacking in creativity, lacking in ideas. Of course, we do miss Santi Cazorla, but there's only so many times that we can say we miss him in midfield, because we've got other players that should be able to come in and do a job. Aaron Ramsey was one of them tonight, and I thought he had, for the most part, a fairly decent game. I thought he read the game well. I've been seeing that he's been getting after criticism about him slowing our game down, but I don't think it's a case of Aaron Ramsey necessarily slowing our game down. I just think he plays in a different way to Santi Cazorla, and he was vastly better to the Aaron Ramsey that we saw away from home at Old Trafford recently. He looked a lot better in the middle of the park. I don't think Francis Coquelin plays to his strengths. Team lineups. Why on earth was Granit Xhaka omitted from the squad yet again? Saying that, I can understand why we started Coquelin alongside Ramsey to give Ramsey that freedom to express himself in the final third. But saying that, and Coquelin offers that bit more security to the defence. But saying that, those two just don't have no chemistry whatsoever together. They don't really read each other's games too well. There's no link up between them. And given that Xhaka seems to have all the attributes to work alongside Aaron Ramsey, it perplexes me why he's not starting for Arsenal. And he just seems to be omitted from the Arsenal team in every single big game that we've faced recently. He didn't start the only game against Liverpool. He started against Spurs, but he didn't start against United. He hasn't started again tonight. When is Granit Xhaka going to start getting games in an Arsenal shirt? It's he's, as Wenger persistently says, he's going through a development stage, but he should be slotting into this Arsenal team sooner rather than later. A couple of other changes in the Arsenal team. We saw Olivier Giroud come in and start up front. Whether that worked to our favour, I don't know. He scored the penalty. He had a good game at times, but I still think that we look a lot more fluid when we've got the likes of Theo Walcott, Alexis Sanchez, Alex Iwobi linking up with one another. Oxlade-Chamberlain, I was very surprised that he didn't get a start in this game. I think given the way he played against United, given that he got the assist, I think he warranted a start in this match, and I would just hope that it's not going to knock his confidence that he hasn't got this start tonight. I think it would have been a different game if we'd have started with Chamberlain or Walcott on one of the flanks, because with all due respect to Alex Iwobi and Alexis Sanchez, they both play very, very narrowly. The minute they get the ball on either flank, the first thing they want to do is cut in, and with Olivier Giroud up top, that just makes our play incredibly narrow, and it makes Ozil's job that whole load more difficult. So we should have started with one of either Walcott or Chamberlain. We left it late to bring them on. They weren't given an opportunity to have a full impact on the game. Chamberlain, in fairness to him, he came on. He made an excellent run past Blaise Matuidi. And I still think he's making statements to start games. I think he's got to start that game on Sunday against Bournemouth. And we need a resounding win in that game. It's vital that we get back to winning ways at some point, because, it's great we haven't lost since the opening day of the season, but these performances have been nothing short of abysmal at times. They've been very, very poor. You could argue we actually deserved to lose tonight's game. We were fortunate to get a point in many respects. Cavani had two fantastic opportunities to score and give PSG the lead tonight. He didn't, and we should be thankful that we haven't lost this game. We have still got a very slim opportunity to top this group. But one other inclusion in the Arsenal squad was Carl Jenkinson, who I know that won't be much of a surprise to many of you, given that he started against United and given that we've got Hector Bellerin injured. But I think it's worth noting his performance and how he stepped up in this game in that second half especially. That first half he was very, very, very shaky, as was the back line really. Mustafi, I thought he was pretty shaky throughout the entirety of this match, as was Koscielny. The back line was just very unconvincing as a whole tonight. Kieran Gibbs, the only real shining light out of our back four. I thought he played very well, but Jenkinson, first half was shaky. Second half really dusted himself down, and I think he did himself proud in that second half, getting involved for the own goal that PSG scored. So plaudits have to go to Cole Jenkinson in that sense, but of course he wasn't the most influential player on the pitch. And that first half was unbelievably frustrating. It started slowly for us. We had no creativity, no imagination whatsoever. Our whole game hinges on that midfield pivot, and when we don't get that right, Arsenal don't play well. It's annoyingly frustrating that we've got to persistently rely on our midfielders, which I know play an essential role in any team's performance, but we need to get that right at some point. And why we're not attempting to even play Ramsey and Xhaka together, I mean, it's ludicrous. We've got to start those two together in that game against Bournemouth. We've got to at least try to experiment with it at some point. But regarding tonight's game, PSG got the opener fairly early on. It came out of absolutely nothing, but it was a great ball through to Blaise Matuidi. Mustafi nowhere to be seen. He was certainly at fault there. He was just sleeping on this one. Blaise Matuidi puts in a fantastic ball to the far post to Edinson Cavani, who tucks it home to make it 1-0 to Paris Saint-Germain. I wouldn't say it was a goal that they necessarily deserved, but we hadn't done anything in the game either to warrant a lead for ourselves. So 1-0 to Paris Saint-Germain. They took their chance when it came to him. Very clinical. But not too long after, we got a penalty through Alexis Sanchez. It was great work by Olivier Giroud, first of all, to win the ball back from Kitroviak. I don't know if I've said his name right, but the Polish number 4 for PSG. But we won it back. Ozil playing the ball in with a fantastic ball through to Alexis Sanchez, who turned his man, and then Kitroviak, I can't say his name, the Polish guy. He brought down Alexis Sanchez, and then Olivier Giroud stepped up and made it 1-1. And on that note, Olivier Giroud, fantastic penalty, and it's not the first time that he scored a wonderful penalty for Arsenal. He scored against Olympiacos, a penalty last season in a crucial game, scored against Fenerbahce a couple of seasons ago. He scored in the FA Cup semi-final. He's a man that definitely knows how to put the ball in the back of the net from the penalty spot, and he should be, in my opinion, when he's on the pitch, certainly our number one penalty taker. Going out into that second half, it was very, very good from Arsenal. I thought we had some good early pressure, but that didn't last too long. The game went flat very quickly at times, but we did manage to get a 2-1 lead. Again, would I say it was deserved? I'm not too sure, but we took our opportunity when it came to us. Alexis Sanchez with a wonderful ball out to the right to Cole Jenkinson, who put in a fantastic delivery, which seemed to confuse the PSG defence, and it was Marquinhos hitting the ball off Verratti, who then subsequently put it into the back of his own net to make it 2-1 to Arsenal. As I say, was it a lead we necessarily deserved? Probably not, but at that point we should have been a lot more secure. We should have locked up defensively, and we looked to do that by bringing on Granit Xhaka not too shortly after the goal. But just before that, PSG levelling play once again. It was a poor corner to concede in the first place. Kieran Gibbs putting it out, which I don't blame him for, but we shouldn't have allowed PSG into the game so quickly after we'd scored. And then the ball was whipped in by Hatem Ben Arfa, of all people, and then put into the back of the net by the smallest man on the pitch, Lucas Moura. It was pretty poor of Cole Jenkinson to let him go in that sense, and then he knocked it past Alex Iwobi, who got a nod on it, and that's put David Ospina off, and it's gone into the back of the net after that to make it 2-2. And then Cavani had two fantastic opportunities to put PSG into the lead and clinch all 3 points for them, but thankfully he hasn't done that. We've ended this game with a 2-2 draw, which, as I say, isn't the end of the world. A lot of good things to take from tonight. Kieran Gibbs played really well. Cole Jenkinson had a fantastic second half. Aaron Ramsey played well. Olivier Giroud's got another goal. Alexis Sanchez played well. Alex Iwobi I thought was a little bit frustrating tonight. His future in the Arsenal starting 11 in terms of regularly playing for us, I think, is certainly coming into question. I think Chamberlain is starting to warrant a place on that left-hand side ahead of Alex Iwobi. I think that's something that I'd be inclined to go for on Sunday. Maybe line up with Walcott on the right, Alexis up top, and then Oxlade-Chamberlain on that left-hand side. That would give Ozil fantastic runners, and something that we really lacked in tonight's game: fluidity, runners, and creativity. We obviously missed Santi Cazorla, and it's a real shame that we're not going to be, well, it's unlikely that we'll top the group unless we go out to Basel and win, which is going to be a difficult ask in itself. We shouldn't assume that we're going to go to Basel and get 3 points because they're a good team, especially at home. But PSG could potentially slip up at home to Ludogorets, which I think is highly unlikely given that we put 6 past them. Really disappointing on the night. Massive game against Bournemouth where we've got to put things right. We need a convincing win because morale I don't think is particularly high at the moment. But given that we haven't lost since the opening day of the season. It still says quite a lot about this Arsenal team and its resilience, and the positive things that are to come, especially when we haven't got a fully fit squad at this moment in time. So let's not get too downhearted about tonight. It's not the result we wanted, and it is disappointing not to hold on to that 2-1 lead we had. But onwards and upwards to that game against Bournemouth. Hopefully we can get a win there. Then afterwards Southampton, and hopefully let's get a few wins on the bounce. Anyway, guys, please do drop a like on the video if you have enjoyed it. Subscribe to AFC Game by Game, and as always, I'll be speaking to you very, very soon.